Ladies and gentlemen, there is within you right now a power so extraordinary, so capable, that if you could fully grasp it, it would transform your entire life. You were not born to be timid, uncertain, or afraid. You were created with divine intention, shaped by the hand of God, instilled with strength, purpose, and the potential to rise above every challenge. Yet, the greatest tragedy is not in failing. It is in never believing you could succeed in the first place. The truth is this: you are stronger than your fears, braver than your doubts, and more capable than you've ever dared to believe. And when you begin to see yourself through the eyes of faith, not fear, confidence will arise like the morning sun, casting out every shadow of insecurity. Let us now awaken that mighty force within you, the quiet, unwavering belief that you can. Because, my friend, when you believe in yourself with the faith of a mustard seed, mountains will move. Confidence begins in the quiet sanctuary of the mind. It is not something that simply arrives one day by chance. It is cultivated, nurtured, and grown through the power of positive thinking. Your thoughts are powerful. They are the architects of your destiny. What you dwell upon in your inner world becomes the reality of your outer world. If you think defeat, you will feel defeated. But if you think victory, if you imagine success, if you believe with all your heart that good things are possible, you set into motion a mighty force that begins to build your confidence and change your life. The mind is a garden. What you plant in it and what you nurture will grow. If you fill your thoughts with worry, self, doubt, and negativity, you are watering the weeds of fear and insecurity. But if you fill your mind with faith, hope, and affirmations of strength, then you are cultivating a rich soil where confidence can bloom. Every positive thought is a seed, and when you plant enough of them, day after day, they begin to take root. Slowly but surely, they rise up and become the foundation upon which strong, unshakable self-belief is built. This is not merely a mental trick or a feel-good message. It is a spiritual truth. God created you with infinite potential. You are not here by accident. You are equipped with talents, endowed with abilities, and called to live a life of courage and contribution. But that destiny can be hidden, even lost, beneath layers of negative thinking if you do not choose, deliberately and faithfully, to think positively. Positive thinking does not ignore the reality of challenges. It does not deny that setbacks happen. What it does is choose to believe that every challenge can be overcome, that setbacks are setups for comebacks, and that the best is yet to come. It lifts the eyes upward, strengthens the heart inward, and prepares the mind to press forward, regardless of the circumstances. Each time you catch yourself drifting into self-doubt, pause and replace that thought with a truth. Say to yourself, I am capable, I am strong, I am divinely guided. Speak life over your situation. Speak hope into your day. Speak faith into your future. Over time, your mind will begin to shift. Your spirit will begin to rise. And that quiet confidence, the kind that doesn't shout but simply stands, will begin to take hold of your life. Remember this: the most powerful words you will ever hear are the ones you say to yourself. Choose them wisely. Choose them faithfully. Because when you train your mind to think positively, you unlock a power greater than fear, greater than failure. A power that can move you steadily and surely toward the life you were always meant to live. You are not an accident. You are not here by coincidence or mere chance. You are a creation of purpose, a masterpiece formed by divine hands with intention and love. There is a design to your life, an unseen but very real blueprint crafted by a creator who makes no mistakes. When you begin to truly believe in this, something powerful begins to awaken within you. A sense of value, a sense of worth, a sense of sacred responsibility to live the life you were designed to live. Too often, we doubt ourselves because we measure our worth by worldly standards, by comparisons, achievements, or opinions. But the truth is, your value was set long before anyone else had an opinion about you. The very breath in your lungs is proof that God still has a purpose for you. You are equipped with gifts, unique talents, strengths, and perspectives that no one else has in exactly the same way. You were fashioned to bring light into places where only you can reach, to uplift others with words only you can speak, and to carry a purpose only you can fulfill. Trusting in that divine design does not mean life will always make sense. It doesn't mean the road will always be smooth, but it does mean that you can walk through uncertainty with the assurance that nothing in your life is wasted. Even the struggles, even the disappointments, even the seasons of silence, all of it is part of something bigger. And when you trust that every step, even the painful ones, are leading somewhere good, you begin to move with confidence, not because you know every answer, but because you know the one who guides your steps. There will be moments when the enemy of doubt whispers that you're not enough, that you're not strong enough or smart enough or worthy enough. But that voice is a lie. The truth is found in the quiet voice of faith within you that says, you were made for more. Every fiber of your being was created with purpose. You were formed for a reason, and no mistake, no failure, no criticism can undo what God has already written into the fabric of your life. So walk boldly. Lift your head. Stand firm in the knowledge that you are not random. You are not forgotten. You are not lacking. You are designed by greatness for greatness, and when you align your thoughts with that divine truth, you will find a confidence that is not shaken by storms or critics. It is a confidence anchored in faith, a faith that says, I may not see the whole plan, but I trust the one who made me, and that trust will carry you farther than fear ever could. Self-doubt is not a weakness of the soul. It is a condition of the mind. It doesn't begin in your circumstances. It begins in your thoughts. The battles you face are often not on the outside, but within the walls of your own thinking. The way you think about yourself, your worth, your abilities, and your future sets the entire tone of your life. If your thoughts are filled with fear, defeat, and limitation, then you will move through life with hesitation and insecurity. But if you begin to replace those thoughts with faith-filled truth, strong, uplifting, positive affirmations, you start to unlock a new level of confidence from the inside out. The mind is incredibly powerful. What you feed it, it becomes. If you plant seeds of doubt, you'll grow a harvest of hesitation. But if you plant words of belief, if you repeat to yourself that you are capable, chosen, and empowered, you begin to shift your mindset toward victory. That is why it is so important to become intentional about your inner dialogue. Speak life into your thoughts. When you catch yourself thinking, I can't, pause and say, through God's strength, I can. When you think, I'm not good enough, remind yourself, I am fearfully and wonderfully made. This isn't about pretending problems don't exist. It's about refusing to let problems define your identity. The negative voices that echo in your head are often outdated stories, old wounds, and borrowed opinion. But you have the power through awareness and faith to change the narrative, begin to build new mental habits, start your day with affirmations rooted in truth. Say to yourself, I am strong, I am guided, I am enough. Say it not just with your mouth, but with conviction in your heart. Over time, those thoughts take root and grow stronger than the lies of doubt. You must guard your mind the way you guard your home. You would never allow a stranger to walk in and speak destruction over your family, so don't allow destructive thoughts to live rent-free in your head. Cast them out and replace them with thoughts that heal, that inspire, that empower. This is how confidence grows, not in one giant leap, but thought by thought, truth by truth, day by day. Confidence is not arrogance. It is quiet assurance that says, I know who I am, I know whose I am, and I know that what is within me is greater than what I face. That assurance comes from replacing old patterns of fear with fresh patterns of faith. It comes from choosing, moment by moment, to think in alignment with the life you want to live, not the fears you want to leave behind. When your thoughts begin to change, your life will follow. And soon you'll find yourself walking not in fear, but in strength, not in doubt, but in divine confidence. Confidence is not something you wait to feel before you take action. It is something you build through action. Every step forward, no matter how small, is a powerful declaration to your mind and spirit that you are capable. Action breaks the grip of hesitation. It turns your potential into movement and your intentions into reality. The truth is, no matter how uncertain you feel, taking even the tiniest step in faith ignites a spark that begins to grow into belief. And the more you act, the more you believe, not the other way around. Many people wait for the feeling of confidence before they try something new. They wait to feel ready, but the great secret is this: readiness rarely comes before action. Instead, courage is what carries you into the unknown, and action is what builds the confidence you thought you needed beforehand. Every time you push through fear, even just a little, you are strengthening your belief in yourself. You are proving to your own heart that you are capable of more than you imagined. Start small. Take one courageous step in the direction of your goal. Make the call. Write the words, show up to the meeting. Speak up in the room, begin the project. You don't have to have it all figured out. You don't need to see the entire staircase. Just take the next step. And when you do, something incredible happens. You gain momentum. And momentum is one of the most powerful forces in life. It turns small efforts into big results. It transforms a whisper of hope into a confident voice that says, I can do this. Boldness doesn't mean you're not afraid. It simply means you don't let fear control your feet. Fear might ride along with you, but it doesn't get to drive. Each bold action sends a message deep into your soul that you are not a prisoner of your doubt. You are a doer, a mover, a child of purpose who refuses to stay still when called to rise. And remember, action brings clarity. Often we wait to act until we feel certain, but certainty comes after movement, not before. As you step out, things become clearer. As you try, you learn. As you move, you grow. Failure is not the enemy, and action is. Failure is simply part of the process that builds your faith, your character, and your confidence. Every small act of courage is like a brick. Lay them down one by one, and soon you'll have built a foundation of confidence that cannot be shaken. So don't wait for the feeling, begin with the action. And as you move, your belief will catch up to your feet. With every step, you'll grow stronger, bolder, and more certain that yes, you were made for this. Failure is not the end of your story. It may feel final in the moment. It may sting, shake your confidence, even make you question your path. But it is never final unless you decide to stop trying. Failure is not a full stop. It is a comma, a pause, a redirection. It is not a reflection of your worth, but rather a part of your growth. Every great success is built on lessons learned through failure. The difference between those who rise and those who remain stuck is not in how many times they fall, but in whether they choose to get back up. Failure carries within it a seed, a powerful seed of confidence. That may sound strange at first, but it's true. When you fail, you are presented with an extraordinary opportunity. You gain experience. You gain wisdom. You gain clarity. And most importantly, you learn what doesn't work, which brings you one step closer to discovering what does. Each failure is a teacher whispering to you, try again. But this time, try differently. If you listen and keep moving, that seed of wisdom will take root and grow into resilience, an unshakable self-belief. When you fail, it means you were brave enough to try. That alone is something to celebrate. So many people never attempt anything because they fear failure. But when you attempt something and it doesn't go the way you hoped, you are still ahead of those who never took the first step. Trying and failing builds strength. It reveals how much courage lies within you. It reminds you that fear didn't win and that you were bold enough to reach beyond your comfort zone. Too often, we confuse failure with defeat, but defeat is when you surrender your power. Failure is simply a bend in the road, not the end of it. You are allowed to feel the disappointment. You are allowed to grieve the loss of what didn't work out, but don't pitch a tent there. Don't unpack your future in a place of temporary pain. Instead, gather the lessons. Dust off your faith and step forward again with greater wisdom. Confidence built through failure is stronger than confidence built on easy success. Easy victories can make us complacent, but the kind of confidence that comes from standing up after you've fallen, that's the kind that lasts. That's the kind that strengthens your spine, deepens your resolve, and makes you fearless in the face of future storms. You were never meant to be perfect. You were meant to grow, to stretch, to stumble, and to rise. And with every rise after a fall, you become more of who you were created to be. So when failure knocks, don't shrink back. Stand taller, look it in the eye, and say, you don't define me, you refine me. Because in the end, failure is not your enemy. It's your opportunity to build a stronger, wiser, more confident version of you. Faith and fear cannot rule your heart at the same time. One will rise while the other falls, and when you begin to place your faith above your fear, something incredible begins to happen inside you. Confidence starts to bloom, not from the absence of fear, but from the quiet, steady decision to believe in something greater. Fear focuses on what could go wrong. Faith focuses on what can go right. Fear paralyzes. Faith mobilizes. Fear is loud and demanding, but faith is calm, powerful, and sure. Fear will always try to have the final word. It will whisper worst, case scenarios in your ear. It will magnify your weaknesses and minimize your strengths. It will convince you that you're not ready, that you're not worthy, that you're not capable. But faith speaks a different language. It reminds you that you were created for a purpose, and that purpose is bigger than your fear. Faith tells you that no matter how great the challenge, there is a greater power within you. It reassures you that you don't walk alone. That the same God who gave you the dream will also give you the strength to fulfill it. Turning your heart toward the light means choosing what you focus on. If you stare at the shadows long enough, they will consume your vision. But if you lift your eyes and look to the light, even if it's just a flicker of hope, that light will begin to expand. It will grow brighter, it will warm your soul, and it will loosen fear's grip on your life. That's the power of faith. It doesn't make the storm disappear, but it gives you peace in the middle of it. It doesn't eliminate uncertainty, but it gives you the strength to walk through it with your head held high. Faith doesn't mean you won't ever feel fear. It means you choose not to let fear decide your actions. You keep moving forward even when your knees tremble. You speak even when your voice shakes. You rise even after you've fallen. That's courage. That's confidence born from faith. Every step you take in faith is an act of defiance against fear. And each time you do it, fear loses a little more of its hold. Confidence doesn't come from having all the answers. It comes from trusting the one who does. It's built when you say, I don't know what's ahead, but I know who walks with me. That's the kind of belief that cannot be shaken. That's the kind of faith that moves mountains, opens doors, and brings dreams to life. So when fear tries to freeze you, when it tells you to stay small, to back down, to quit, pause, breathe, and turn your heart toward the light. Speak faith over your fear. Declare your trust louder than your doubt. Because when faith becomes your focus, confidence will follow. And when you walk by faith, fear will have no power over you. The words you speak to yourself matter more than you realize. They become the atmosphere in which your confidence either flourishes or withers. So many people walk through life with an internal dialogue that quietly defeats them before they even begin. They say things like, I'm not good enough, I always mess up, or I'll never be like them. These words settle in the heart and shape the way they see themselves until eventually those thoughts become truth, not because they are true, but because they've been repeated so often. But there is a different way, a stronger way, a way that brings life instead of limitation. You must begin to speak to yourself with power, truth-filled, faith-filled, purpose-driven power. Not with arrogance, not with pride, but with the deep assurance that comes from knowing who you are and whose you are. You were created with intention. You were designed by a creator who never makes mistakes. That means your life has worth, your voice has value, your presence has purpose. And when you speak from that understanding, your confidence begins to rise. Words are not just sounds, they are seeds. When you speak defeat, you plant seeds of doubt. When you speak faith, you plant seeds of courage, and over time, those seeds take root. That is why you must become intentional with the words you say about yourself. Instead of saying, I can't, begin to say, I can do all things through him who strengthens me. Instead of saying, I'm not enough, begin to declare, I am fearfully and wonderfully made. These are not empty phrases. They are declarations of truth that align your mind with your divine identity. The world may try to tear you down. You may face rejection, criticism, and failure. But if the voice inside of you is stronger than the noise outside of you, you will overcome. That inner voice must become your greatest encourager, not your harshest critic. You need to be your own coach, your own cheerleader, speaking life to yourself when no one else is around to do it. That is the beginning of unshakable confidence. Don't wait until you feel strong to speak strength. Speak it now, even if your voice trembles. Speak it when you're uncertain. Speak it when you're discouraged. Speak it until your soul begins to believe it again. This is not about pretending you have it all together. It's about reminding yourself of the truth when the lies feel loud. Say it out loud: I am capable, I am chosen, I am enough, I have everything I need to take the next step. I don't walk alone. I am strengthened by something greater than myself. Speak these words again and again, and watch how they begin to shape your thoughts, shift your emotions, and elevate your life. Because when you speak to yourself with power, confidence follows. And when confidence walks in, fear walks out. The people you allow into your life shape the way you see yourself. Their words, their energy, and their beliefs often become the mirror in which you view your own worth. That's why it is so essential to surround yourself with belief builders. People who speak life into your spirit, who see your potential even when you can't, who lift you when you're low and challenge you to rise higher. These are the people who will water the seeds of confidence within you. When you walk with those who believe in you, their faith becomes fuel for your own journey. Confidence is not built in isolation. It is forged in relationships that reflect hope, encouragement, and possibility. There is something powerful about being seen, heard, and affirmed by someone who genuinely wants you to win. Their belief in you can carry you through moments of doubt. Their words can remind you of who you are when fear tries to make you forget. Sometimes all it takes is one voice saying, "I believe in you," to ignite a fire that's been quietly burning inside you all along. But just as belief is contagious, so is doubt. Be mindful of those who constantly speak negativity, who mock your dreams, who belittle your growth. These are not the voices you need when you are building something meaningful. Confidence cannot thrive in a toxic atmosphere. When you surround yourself with those who tear you down, who plant seeds of insecurity, or who constantly compare and criticize, you begin to internalize those messages. And over time, they can wear away your self-belief like a slow, silent erosion. It is not selfish to protect your spirit. It is wise. Just as you would guard your home from intruders, you must guard your mind and heart from influences that drain you or make you doubt your worth. Seek out people who challenge you to grow, but who also celebrate your progress. Find those who can be honest and kind, who speak truth with love, and who remind you that your potential is limitless. And while you're seeking those belief builders, be one yourself. Speak words of encouragement to others. Celebrate their wins. Uplift their hearts. When you become a source of confidence for someone else, you'll find that your own belief deepens as well. What you give comes back to you multiplied. Confidence flows more freely in an environment where people are building each other, not competing or tearing one another down. You are not meant to walk this path alone. Life is a team sport, and the company you keep can make all the difference. Choose those who help you remember your strength, your calling, your identity. Let their encouragement echo in your mind on the days when your own voice feels weak. Because when you walk with the right people, you begin to rise higher, not only because they lift you, but because they teach you how to lift yourself. Before any great victory is won in life, it is first won in the mind. What you see within yourself has a powerful influence over what you experience in the world around you. If you can picture yourself failing, hesitating, or falling short, then you will move through life with a sense of dread and self-doubt. But if you can begin to visualize success, truly see yourself rising, conquering, and walking in confidence, then you begin to reshape your inner world. And when your inner world changes, everything else begins to align with it. Visualization is not wishful thinking. It is mental preparation. Just as an athlete trains not only with their body, but also with their imagination, you must learn to see your future victories with clarity and intention. Close your eyes and picture yourself standing tall, speaking with power, walking through doors of opportunity, achieving the things your heart dreams of. See it vividly, feel it. Engage every part of your heart and soul in the picture of your success. This mental rehearsal begins to create new pathways in your brain, new patterns of belief, and those beliefs shape your actions. You begin to walk with more certainty because you've already seen what is possible. But visualization alone is not enough. It must be accompanied by something even greater, prayer. Prayer brings the supernatural into the natural. It connects your limited ability with God's unlimited power. When you pray, you are not just wishing, you are aligning your heart with divine truth. You are saying, I may not have all the strength, but I know the one who does. Prayer anchors you in purpose. It calms your fears. It reminds you that you're not alone in this journey. When you pray with belief, something shifts inside you. Your spirit becomes strengthened. Your faith grows deeper. Your confidence moves from the shaky ground of self-reliance to the firm foundation of divine assurance. You stop striving and start trusting. You stop trying to control everything and begin to surrender to the plan that's already in motion for your life. And in that surrender, there is power, there is clarity, there is peace. Make visualization and prayer a daily habit. In the quiet moments of the morning or the stillness before sleep, take time to see and speak. See yourself living with boldness, walking in purpose, overcoming what once held you back. And then speak it in prayer. Declare your trust in God's guidance and timing. Ask for wisdom, strength, and courage. Give thanks in advance for the victories you haven't seen yet, knowing they are already unfolding. When you pair the image of success with the faith to receive it, your confidence will soar. You will no longer wonder if you can. You will begin to know that you can, not because you are perfect, but because you are connected to a power greater than yourself. And that partnership of vision and prayer is where true confidence is born. Confidence is not something some people are simply born with while others are left behind. It is not a trait reserved for the loudest voices or the boldest personalities. Real, lasting confidence is a habit, a quiet discipline of rising again and again, no matter how many times life tries to knock you down. Each time you fall and choose to get back up, you are building something stronger than talent, louder than fear, and more powerful than perfection. You are building resilience, and resilience is the foundation of unshakable confidence. Everyone stumbles. Everyone faces moments of uncertainty, of failure, of deep disappointment. But not everyone chooses to rise. That choice to rise, to try again, to keep believing, is what sets apart the confident from the defeated. It's not about how flawless your path is, but how faithful you are to keep moving forward. The strongest confidence is not born in success, but in struggle. It is formed in the fires of failure, shaped in the shadows of doubt, and proven in the act of standing tall when you feel like shrinking away. Each time you rise, you send a message to your inner self. I will not quit on me. That message begins to take root. It begins to change how you see yourself. You no longer identify with your failures. You identify with your strength. You don't define yourself by what went wrong. You define yourself by the courage it takes to rise again. And over time, that habit becomes your identity. You become someone who endures, someone who persists, someone who believes. Even when believing is hard, you must speak to yourself kindly in those moments when you fall. Instead of saying, "I failed again," learn to say, "This is part of the process. I'm still becoming." Growth is not linear. It is a winding road filled with lessons, setbacks, and unexpected turns. But through it all, you're being refined. Every challenge is building you. Every mistake is teaching you. And every comeback is proving to you that you are stronger than your circumstances. Confidence is a muscle, and like any muscle, it is strengthened through repetition. Each day you rise, whether it's from a small slip or a big failure, you are exercising that muscle. You are building your inner strength, and just as physical strength is not built overnight, neither is confidence. It's built daily in the decisions no one sees, in the thoughts you choose, in the battles you fight inside yourself and win, little by little. So keep rising, keep showing up, keep believing in your ability to grow, to overcome, and to move forward. Because every time you do, you are becoming the kind of person who doesn't just dream, but who achieves, who doesn't just hope, but who builds. And that, more than anything, is where true, lasting confidence comes from. Not from being perfect, but from being persistent. Not from always winning, but from never giving up. Stand tall, think big, believe deeply, and go forward knowing that with faith in God and faith in yourself, nothing can stop the power that is already within you.